So, picture this. It's a typical rainy evening in October, the kind that makes you crave a warm cup of joe. I'm pulling shots and foaming milk when I notice an elderly gentleman in the corner of the cafe. I'd seen him around before, but he always struck me as a bit eccentric, dressed like he stepped out of a time machine from the 1920s, bowler hat and all. He's sitting alone, hunched over an old leather-bound book, sipping on a cappuccino. Nothing unusual, right? But here's where it gets weird. Every night for a week, like clockwork, he'd show up around closing time, right before the last call for drinks. And he'd always order the same thing, that cappuccino. Now, you're probably thinking, what's so spooky about that? Well, hold on to your Vinny cups, 'cause here's the kicker, nobody else ever saw him. No customers, no coworkers. It was like I was serving coffee to a phantom. I tried talking to my fellow baristas about it, but they thought I was pulling their apron strings. So, one night, I decided to confront this man. As I approached, his eyes, hidden beneath that old hat, slowly lifted, and he grinned with teeth as yellow as aged parchment. He whispered, "One cappuccino, please, my dear." But that wasn't the freakiest part. When I went to ring up his order, I couldn't find any record of it in the system. It was as if he didn't exist. I even checked the security footage, but he never appeared on camera. I was the only one who saw him. I kept serving this phantom customer, and every time he'd finish his cappuccino, he'd vanish into thin air, leaving the cup behind as if to taunt me. And then one night, after a month of these bizarre encounters, I finally mustered the courage to ask him, "Who are you?" His eerie grin widened, and he whispered, "I'm just a coffee lover who found a good brew." I blinked, and he was gone. Poof, vanished into thin air. The cup dropped to the floor, shattering into pieces. I still don't know who or what that old-timer was, but he's left me with one burning question. Did I serve a ghost his daily dose of caffeine, or was it all just a caffeine-induced hallucination? You be the judge, but I'll never forget those spine-chilling nights at Starbucks. As time went on, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to this mysterious customer. It wasn't just the disappearing act that bothered me, it was the way he seemed to know things he shouldn't have known. One night, after weeks of this eerie routine, I decided to do some digging. I asked my older coworker, Dave, if he ever noticed the strange old man. He squinted at me through his thick glasses, his face etched with wrinkles that spoke of many years working at Starbucks. "Ah, you've met him too?" Dave said, his voice trembling slightly. I thought I was losing my marbles, seeing a ghost and all. Dave had been working at that same Starbucks for decades, and he told me that this peculiar customer had been haunting the place since the 90s. It seemed like I had stumbled upon a decades-old mystery. We scoured the store's archives, looking for any trace of this mysterious coffee lover. And that's when we stumbled upon an old newspaper article from 1992. It told the story of a man named Edgar Hargrove who had frequented this very Starbucks. According to the article, Edgar was a regular who always ordered the same cappuccino before he mysteriously disappeared one fateful evening, leaving nothing behind but his unfinished coffee. Witnesses claimed that he'd been coming to the cafe for years, even though he looked exactly the same as he had when he first started coming in, decades earlier. The article was accompanied by a black and white photo of the man, and it sent shivers down my spine. It was him, the same man I had been serving night after night. Edgar Hargrove, frozen in time, still haunting Starbucks all these years later. Dave and I decided to investigate further. We discovered that the building had been standing since the early 1900s, and there were rumors of it being haunted long before Starbucks set up shop. Some claimed it was built on an old burial ground, while others said it was the site of a gruesome murder in the 1920s. We delved deeper into the history of the building and found a connection between Edgar Hargrove and the rumored murder. It turns out that he had been a witness to the crime and had disappeared shortly after testifying in court. The case had gone cold, and the building had changed hands multiple times over the years. As we continued our investigation, the encounters with Edgar became more frequent and unsettling. We were determined to uncover the truth behind his mysterious existence. But the more we learned, the more we realized that the lines between the living and the dead were blurring in that old Starbucks. To this day, I'm haunted by the memory of those nights, and I often wonder if Edgar Hargrove was trying to communicate something from beyond the grave or if he was simply trapped in a never-ending loop of caffeine cravings. One thing's for sure, though, that Starbucks will never be just a coffee shop to me again, and I'll always wonder what other secrets it holds within its walls. Story 2. This happened just a couple of years ago, in 2019, and it's as real as the espresso shot in your latte. I was working the graveyard shift at our local Starbucks, and it was a quiet night, no cars in sight. It was almost closing time when the order came through the drive-thru speaker. Nothing unusual, right? Wrong. As the weeks went by, the eerie incidents at our Starbucks drive-thru continued, and the legend of the ghostly caramel macchiato order spread throughout the town. People started coming from miles around just to witness this supernatural spectacle for themselves. It was like our little Starbucks had become a paranormal hotspot. One evening, a group of paranormal investigators arrived at the drive-thru, equipped with all sorts of ghost-detecting gadgets, EMF meters, infrared cameras, and even a psychic medium. They set up their equipment, eager to uncover the truth behind this haunting phenomenon. The psychic medium, a woman named Eliza, stepped up to the drive-thru speaker and closed her eyes. She began speaking softly, as if communicating with someone unseen. Her words sent chills down our spines as she claimed to be in contact with a spirit named Samuel who had a deep love for caramel macchiatos. Samuel, as it turned out, had been a regular at this very location before it became a Starbucks. He was a kind-hearted man who had passed away tragically in a car accident just a stone's throw from where the drive-thru stood today. Eliza believed that Samuel's spirit was drawn to this place, seeking the comfort of his favorite drink. The investigators concluded that Samuel's spirit was indeed the one behind the ghostly caramel macchiato orders. They performed a cleansing ritual, hoping to help him find peace and move on to the afterlife. And just like that, the eerie orders stopped. No more whispery voices, no more vanishing cars. But the story doesn't end there. Some say that every once in a while, if you visit the Starbucks drive-thru late at night when the moon is full and the air is chilly, you might still hear the faint echoes of Samuel's voice, softly whispering his order. It's as if he's checking in from the other side, making sure his caramel macchiato is still on the menu. So, if you ever find yourself craving a caramel macchiato and you hear a ghostly voice from the Starbucks drive-thru, don't be afraid. It might just be Samuel, the friendly caffeine-loving spirit, reminding us that even in the afterlife, some things never change. The voice crackled through the speaker, a soft, whispery sound that sent shivers down my spine. "One caramel macchiato, please," it said, like a ghostly request from the beyond. I figured it was just some prankster, so I replied with the usual cheeriness, "Sure thing, that'll be ready at the window." I whipped up the drink, steamed the milk, added the caramel drizzle, all the usual steps. But when I got to the drive-thru window to hand it over, there was no car. Just empty darkness. I shrugged it off, thinking maybe the driver was having a laugh. But then it happened again, the same order, same voice, same disappearing act. And it didn't stop there. Night after night, the ghostly caramel macchiato order continued, always right before closing time, always vanishing without a trace. My coworkers thought I was losing it. They'd say, "There's no one there, dude," as they watched me hand over an invisible cup. But here's where it gets even weirder. Some customers started to notice it too. They'd be waiting behind the phantom car, honking their horns and cursing at the empty drive-thru window. One night, a brave soul named Sarah decided to investigate. She parked her car right in front of the drive-thru speaker and waited. When the eerie voice crackled to life, she recorded it on her phone. The chilling recording captured the ghostly voice placing the order, but when she tried to capture the car on video, there was nothing there. We played that recording for everyone, and jaws dropped. It was undeniable proof that something supernatural was happening at our Starbucks drive-thru. Local legend has it that there was an old cemetery nearby, long forgotten, where the Starbucks now stood. Some said restless spirits from that forgotten graveyard were seeking their caffeine fix from beyond the grave. One night, I mustered the courage to ask the ghostly voice, "Who are you? Why are you here?" And the voice replied, "I just need my caramel macchiato." We never did figure out who or what was behind the ghostly drive-thru order. But one thing's for sure, after those nights at Starbucks, none of us will ever look at a caramel macchiato the same way again. And if you're ever at a Starbucks drive-thru late at night and hear that whispery voice, just remember, you might be serving a spectral customer with an insatiable caffeine craving. Story 3. It all went down in 2017 at a Starbucks you probably pass by every day. But what happened behind those cozy, coffee-scented walls was anything but ordinary. I was working my usual shift, serving up lattes and crafting caramel macchiatos when an unsettling incident unfolded right before my eyes. It was a busy morning, and the line was out the door, which was pretty typical for a weekday rush. But this day was far from ordinary. A customer named Jane, a regular who came in every morning, ordered her usual grande iced coffee with cream and sugar. Nothing unusual, right? But as I handed her the drink, I couldn't help but notice a strange look on her face. She took a sip, and her eyes widened in terror. She started coughing violently, and her face turned an alarming shade of red. Panic spread through the cafe as Jane clutched her throat and gasped for air. My manager quickly dialed 911, and paramedics rushed to the scene. It was a chaotic, heart-pounding moment as we watched them whisk Jane away to the hospital, her coffee cup still clenched in her trembling hand. We were left in stunned silence, trying to make sense of what had just happened. But things were about to get even stranger. It turned out Jane wasn't the only one affected. Reports started trickling in from other Starbucks locations in the area, all describing eerily similar incidents. Customers were experiencing severe allergic reactions, mysterious rashes, and even shortness of breath after sipping their Starbucks brews. It was a full-blown coffee catastrophe, and no one could figure out the cause. Starbucks corporate headquarters launched an internal investigation, and the health department swooped in like caffeine-fueled detectives. Rumors began swirling that there was something seriously wrong with the coffee supply chain, and fear gripped both customers and baristas alike. Finally, after days of uncertainty and fear, the investigation uncovered the shocking truth: a disgruntled employee had been intentionally contaminating the coffee beans with a toxic substance, something that would cause severe allergic reactions in unsuspecting customers. The perpetrator was a former Starbucks barista who had been fired for poor performance and harbored a vengeful grudge against the company. They had tampered with coffee shipments, mixing in a noxious chemical that went undetected until customers started falling ill. The revelation sent shockwaves through the Starbucks community. We couldn't believe that someone we had worked alongside had turned into a coffee saboteur. The affected customers slowly recovered, but the incident left a bitter taste in our mouths that no latte could wash away. Starbucks tightened its security measures, ensuring that such a horrifying incident would never happen again. But the memory of that toxic brew lingers, serving as a grim reminder that even in our favorite coffee shops, there can be dangers lurking in every cup. So, next time you take a sip of your morning Starbucks, remember this chilling tale and savor every drop. In the aftermath of the toxic coffee incident, Starbucks underwent a complete overhaul of its security procedures and supply chain management. The coffee giant was determined to prevent any future tampering or contamination. Every bag of coffee beans was subjected to rigorous testing, and employees underwent extensive training to recognize signs of sabotage. The former employee responsible for the nightmare brew was apprehended and faced criminal charges for their reckless actions. Their motive, it turned out, was not just revenge but a twisted desire for attention and chaos. The incident had caused panic not only in the Starbucks community but also among coffee lovers everywhere. As news of the contamination broke, customers were understandably hesitant to return to their beloved Starbucks. The company worked diligently to regain their trust, offering free coffee for a month to affected customers and launching a marketing campaign emphasizing their commitment to safety. The incident served as a stark reminder of the potential dangers lurking in the most unexpected places. It prompted Starbucks and other coffee chains to take a closer look at their security measures, ensuring that customer safety remained a top priority. While the toxic coffee incident eventually faded from the headlines, it left a lasting impact on all who were involved. Every Starbucks barista, including me, was reminded of the immense responsibility that came with serving beverages to countless people daily. So, the next time you order your favorite Starbucks drink, take a moment to appreciate the measures in place to ensure your safety. Behind the counter, baristas like me work tirelessly to make sure your coffee is not only delicious but also free from any horrifying surprises. And remember, even in the darkest of coffee tales, there's a lesson to be learned. Never take your morning brew for granted. Story 4. This happened back in 2016, and let me tell you, it's a story that still sends shivers down my spine. I was a barista at a bustling Starbucks, working my shift as usual one sunny afternoon. It started like any other day, with customers coming and going, the espresso machine hissing, and the aroma of freshly ground coffee filling the air. Little did I know that an unsettling presence had quietly slipped into our cozy cafe. She appeared to be just another customer at first, a woman in her 30s, dressed in a sleek, professional outfit. But as the day went on, she stood out like a sore thumb. She ordered a latte and took a seat by the window, her eyes locked onto something outside. Something, or someone, that wasn't visible to the rest of us. Hours turned into days, and the woman showed no sign of leaving. She'd sip her latte, her eyes never wavering from the window, as if she was waiting for someone or something. My coworkers and I exchanged uneasy glances, wondering what her deal was. That's when the incident started. She began to approach customers, seemingly at random, and ask them strange, personal questions. "What's your name? Where do you live? Do you come here often?" Her tone was cold and unsettling, like she was probing for something more sinister than small talk. Customers started to complain about her, and we, the baristas, felt a growing sense of unease. But when we tried to confront her or ask her to leave, she'd just smile and return to her seat, continuing to watch that invisible presence outside. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, things took a darker turn. A customer who had been sitting near the woman suddenly let out a terrified scream and bolted from the cafe. We rushed over to find the woman and whispered something in the customer's ear, something that had sent them into a panic. It was the final straw. We called the police, and they arrived promptly, questioning the mysterious woman. But here's the twist. She had no identification on her, and when they asked for her name, she simply replied, "I am the watcher." They escorted her out of the cafe, but she didn't go quietly. She continued to mutter cryptic phrases about watching and waiting, her eyes fixed on something only she could see. The police couldn't charge her with anything, as she technically hadn't broken any laws. They warned her to stay away from the Starbucks, and she disappeared into the night, leaving us all with a sense of lingering dread. To this day, we still wonder who or what she was watching. Was it a figment of her imagination, or was there something truly sinister lurking in the shadows? One thing's for sure, that Starbucks window seat has never been the same, and none of us will ever forget the day we crossed paths with the enigmatic watcher. In the days that followed, our Starbucks was on edge. Customers cautiously eyed the window seat where the mysterious watcher had spent so much time. We couldn't help but wonder if she would return or if we were finally free from her unsettling presence. Weeks turned into months, and it seemed like the ordeal had come to an end. Our regular customers returned, and we resumed our daily routines. But just when we thought we were in the clear, the watcher made an unexpected reappearance. One evening, as twilight cast long shadows through the cafe, she walked through the door once again. Her presence was like a cold gust of wind, sending shivers down our spines. She didn't order a latte this time. She simply went straight to the window seat and resumed her eerie vigil. The return of the watcher reignited our fears and discomfort. Our loyal customers were once again subjected to her invasive questions and unnerving behavior. The police were called, but once more, they could do little to remove her from the premises. It was as if she had some strange power over the place, and we were helpless to stop her. As days turned into weeks, the watcher became a fixture at our Starbucks, a sinister specter that haunted both employees and patrons. Some regulars stopped coming altogether, unable to bear the tension in the air. It felt like a dark cloud had settled over our once welcoming cafe. Rumors began to circulate about the watcher. Some said she was a ghostly apparition, while others believed she was a harbinger of misfortune. No one could explain her inexplicable presence or her unnerving ability to evade authorities. Then, one fateful day, as mysteriously as she had appeared, the watcher was gone. The window seat sat empty, bathed in the warm glow of the afternoon sun. It was as if she had never been there at all. We breathed a collective sigh of relief, but the sense of unease lingered. We may never know the true nature of the watcher or the reason for our relentless surveillance of our Starbucks. Some believed she was a troubled soul in need of help, while others thought she was a manifestation of something more sinister. To this day, the window seat at our Starbucks remains both a coveted spot and a chilling reminder of the enigmatic watcher. Whether she was a ghost, a stalker, or something beyond our understanding, her presence continues to haunt our memories, leaving us with unanswered questions and a lingering sense of dread. Story 5. We're taking a trip back to the year 2014 when an ordinary coffee cup became the center of a truly bizarre and chilling mystery. I was just a wide-eyed barista back then, loving life and living the dream at our local Starbucks. It was a pretty ordinary day until a customer named Alan walked in. Alan was a regular, a friendly guy who usually ordered a simple black coffee, no frills. But on this particular day, he had something different in mind. Alan approached the counter with a mischievous grin and said, "I've got a challenge for you, buddy. Make me the spookiest Halloween-themed coffee you can think of." Now, I'm not one to back down from a challenge, so I whipped up the darkest, spookiest concoction I could imagine, a black coffee with a shot of espresso, a dash of cinnamon, and a swirl of caramel syrup that looked like a spider's web. Alan laughed and took a sip, declaring it the perfect Halloween treat. But that's when things started to take a bizarre turn. Alan began experiencing a string of incredibly bad luck. First, his car broke down on the way home from Starbucks, leaving him stranded on a deserted road in the dead of night. Then, his phone mysteriously died, leaving him unable to call for help. Over the next few days, the misfortunes kept piling up. His laptop crashed, he lost his job, and even his pet goldfish mysteriously turned belly up. Alan's life was spiraling into an endless abyss of bad luck, and he couldn't shake the feeling that it all began with the Halloween-themed coffee. Desperate and believing in some sort of curse, Alan returned to our Starbucks, his eyes filled with terror. He begged me to undo whatever magic or hex was woven into that cursed coffee. I tried to console him, thinking it was just a series of unfortunate events, but Alan was convinced the coffee was to blame. We brewed a fresh cup of the same concoction, hoping it would break the supposed curse. Alan hesitantly took a sip, and his face contorted in agony. He dropped the cup, shattering it on the floor. But that was the moment when his streak of bad luck seemed to lift, as if the curse had been broken. Alan thanked me profusely, but I couldn't help but feel a chill run down my spine. Was it all just a strange coincidence, or had that Halloween-themed coffee truly been cursed? I may never know for sure, but one thing's for certain, I've never made another spooky brew like that, and I still wonder if curses and dark magic might be lurking in the most unexpected places, even in the world of coffee. In the aftermath of Alan's bizarre experience, our Starbucks became the talk of the town. Customers would come in, asking about the infamous cursed coffee, and it wasn't long before the local news picked up the story. People from all over the area flocked to our cafe, intrigued by the tale of the cursed Starbucks cup. Some were skeptics, dismissing it all as a series of unfortunate coincidences. Others, however, believed that there was something more sinister at play. They wondered if the coffee had indeed been cursed, and if so, who or what had cast the malevolent spell. Rumors and speculation swirled, and our cafe became a hub of mystery and superstition. Some believed that the curse had been lifted when Alan broke the coffee cup, while others thought that the spirit responsible for the misfortune still lingered. One night, a group of self-proclaimed paranormal investigators arrived at our Starbucks, armed with EMF detectors and ghost hunting equipment. They asked to see the very spot where Alan had dropped the cursed cup. They conducted a series of experiments, but their findings were inconclusive, leaving the mystery unresolved. As the weeks went by, Alan's life gradually returned to normal. His car was fixed, he found a new job, and even his pet goldfish miraculously came back to life. Whether it was the coffee or sheer coincidence, no one could say for certain. But the legend of the cursed Starbucks cup persisted. People would still come in, ordering variations of that fateful Halloween-themed coffee, hoping to test their luck. Some claimed to have experienced strange events after drinking it, while others emerged unscathed, laughing off the superstition. To this day, I can't help but wonder if there was truly something supernatural about that cursed coffee, or if it was all just a bizarre series of coincidences. One thing's for sure, though, it serves as a cautionary tale that even the most ordinary things in life can sometimes hide unexpected and otherworldly secrets. So, the next time you sip your Starbucks brew, remember the tale of the cursed cup, and perhaps think twice before ordering that extra shot of mystery. Story 6. This one goes back to the year 2013, when I was a newbie barista at a bustling Starbucks in a small town, and boy, was it a wild ride. You see, Starbucks is known for its meticulous training, ensuring that every barista can whip up a perfect latte or cappuccino. But sometimes, even the best laid plans can go terribly wrong. I was fresh out of barista training, eager to put my newfound skills to the test. My mentor, Sarah, was a seasoned barista with years of experience, and she was assigned to oversee my training shifts. On my very first solo day on the espresso machine, I had a line of customers snaking out the door. The pressure was on, and I was determined to prove myself. I confidently steamed the milk, pulled the shots, and poured the latte art, just as I had been taught. It all seemed to be going well until I handed a customer her caramel macchiato with a flourish. She took one sip and then recoiled, her face twisting in disgust. I knew something was terribly wrong. I had accidentally grabbed a bottle of expired milk, and the resulting latte was a curdled mess. The poor customer stormed out, leaving a trail of disgruntled patrons in her wake. But that was just the beginning of the chaos that ensued during my barista training. Sarah, my mentor, had been distracted that day, dealing with a particularly difficult customer at the drive-thru window. She had to step away to resolve this situation, leaving me to fend for myself. As I rushed to make drinks for the growing line of customers, I accidentally knocked over a stack of cups, sending them crashing to the floor with a deafening clatter. It was a scene right out of a slapstick comedy, and the entire cafe erupted in laughter, including my fellow baristas. But the worst was yet to come. Just when I thought I had survived the worst of my training day, I made a rookie mistake that I still cringe about to this day. I was tasked with cleaning the espresso machine, and in my haste, I accidentally spilled an entire container of espresso grounds all over the counter, the floor, and even on a few unsuspecting customers' shoes. The cafe descended into chaos as I scrambled to clean up the mess, customers slipping and sliding on the spilled coffee grounds. I could feel the weight of everyone's eyes on me, and the embarrassment was unbearable. My mentor returned to find the cafe in disarray, and she could only shake her head in disbelief. It was a day of disasters, and I had certainly lived up to the title of rookie barista. In the end, my training day was a valuable lesson in humility and the importance of staying calm under pressure. I learned that even the best baristas can have their moments of mishaps, and sometimes you just have to laugh it off and keep grinding, pun intended. So, the next time you enjoy your Starbucks coffee, remember that behind the counter, there might be a barista like me who had their share of training mishaps but is determined to make your drink with care and a whole lot of practice. After my tumultuous barista training day, I was determined to bounce back from my string of rookie mistakes. It turned out that laughter is contagious, and my fellow baristas and I had a good laugh about my comical mishaps. They shared their own stories of training blunders, and suddenly, I didn't feel so alone in my embarrassment. Over the following weeks, I threw myself into mastering the art of coffee making. I practiced steaming milk until I could create that perfect velvety microfoam. I pulled countless shots of espresso, honing my timing to perfection. And I practiced latte art until I could pour a heart or a leaf that would make any customer smile. Sarah, my mentor, became my biggest cheerleader. She offered guidance, encouragement, and plenty of friendly teasing about my infamous training day. But she also shared her own journey from a newbie barista to a seasoned pro, reassuring me that everyone makes mistakes along the way. As time went on, I grew more confident and capable behind the espresso machine. I learned to handle even the busiest rushes with a cool head and a steady hand. And with each smiling customer and perfectly crafted drink, I knew I was on the right path. One day, as I was expertly crafting a caramel macchiato, the same drink that had started my barista journey on such a rocky note, that very customer from my training day walked into the cafe. I held my breath, worried that she might remember that fateful latte. But she greeted me with a warm smile and said, "I'll have the usual, please." I made her drink with precision, using only the freshest milk. She took a sip and sighed in delight, clearly satisfied with the result. It felt like a full-circle moment, a reminder that even the bumpiest starts can lead to smoother journeys ahead. My barista training day may have been a comedy of errors, but it taught me valuable lessons about resilience, humility, and the importance of a supportive team. It showed me that mistakes are an inevitable part of growth, and that with determination and a sense of humor, we can overcome even the most disastrous of days. So, the next time you visit your local Starbucks and enjoy a perfectly brewed coffee, remember that behind the counter, there may be a barista who once spilled espresso grounds everywhere but is now pouring your favorite drink with pride and expertise. Story 7. This eerie incident took place in 2018 when I was working the evening shift at a bustling Starbucks in the heart of the city. Now, we all know that Starbucks is synonymous with providing a cozy atmosphere for customers to work, study, or simply enjoy a cup of coffee. Free Wi-Fi is a big part of that experience. But on this fateful night, the Wi-Fi at our Starbucks turned into a tech nightmare. It all started when a mysterious customer walked in, dressed in a long overcoat with a wide-brimmed hat pulled low over their face. They didn't order a drink, nor did they sit down with a laptop or book like most customers. Instead, they headed straight for a corner table near the window and pulled out a laptop of their own. As the evening went on, I couldn't help but notice that this customer's laptop screen emitted an eerie, pulsating green glow. It cast an otherworldly light on their face, making them look like a character from a sci-fi movie. Curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to discreetly check the cafe's security camera footage. To my shock, I saw that the customer had connected to the Starbucks Wi-Fi and was engaged in some kind of sinister hacking activity. I immediately alerted my manager, who in turn called the police. We didn't want to confront the hacker ourselves and risk escalating the situation. As we waited for the authorities to arrive, the atmosphere in the cafe grew tense, with customers glancing nervously at the suspicious individual. Then, something truly chilling happened. The lights flickered, and the cafe's sound system crackled with static before blaring out a series of distorted, discordant tones. The room grew frigid, and customers shivered as if an invisible cold wind had swept through. The Wi-Fi connection, which had been reliable for years, suddenly dropped for everyone in the cafe. Laptops and smartphones lost their internet access simultaneously. It was as if the hacker had taken control of the entire Starbucks network. Just as quickly as it had started, the bizarre phenomena ceased, leaving the cafe in stunned silence. Moments later, the police arrived and apprehended the hacker. They confiscated the mysterious laptop, which was covered in cryptic symbols and code. The authorities never disclosed the hacker's motives or the extent of the damage they had caused. It was a chilling reminder that even the most mundane places, like a Starbucks cafe, could become the setting for a tech horror story. From that day forward, the Starbucks Wi-Fi underwent a major overhaul to ensure that such a nightmare scenario would never happen again. But the memory of that eerie night lingered, a cautionary tale about the dark side of technology and the unexpected horrors that can lurk behind a seemingly innocent cup of coffee. So, the next time you connect to Starbucks Wi-Fi, beware of who might be lurking in the digital shadows. In the aftermath of the Starbucks Wi-Fi horror incident, the cafe became a hot topic of conversation in the local community. News outlets picked up the story, and customers began to speculate about the motives and identity of the mysterious hacker. Some believed it was the work of a lone cybercriminal with sinister intentions, while others thought it might be part of a larger, more organized hacking scheme. The incident left a lingering sense of unease among cafe-goers, and people started to think twice before using the free Wi-Fi. Starbucks corporate headquarters took the situation very seriously and launched an internal investigation to determine how the hacker had managed to breach their network security. They also worked closely with law enforcement to ensure that the hacker was brought to justice and that any potential vulnerabilities in their Wi-Fi infrastructure were addressed. The incident prompted Starbucks to implement stricter security measures, including regular network vulnerability assessments and enhanced encryption protocols. They also began monitoring their Wi-Fi network more closely to detect any suspicious activity. As for the hacker, their motives remained shrouded in mystery. Some speculated that it was a disgruntled former employee seeking revenge, while others believed it might be a tech-savvy activist trying to make a statement. The truth behind the attack was never fully revealed, adding to the sense of intrigue and uncertainty surrounding the incident. In the years that followed, Starbucks continued to offer free Wi-Fi to its customers, but the memory of the eerie night when the network went haywire lingered in the minds of both employees and patrons. It served as a reminder that even in the most familiar and seemingly benign places, there can be hidden dangers lurking in the digital shadows. So, the next time you settle into a cozy corner of your local Starbucks with your laptop and a cup of coffee, remember the Wi-Fi horror story and the cautionary tale it tells about the potential risks of our increasingly interconnected world. Stay vigilant and keep your digital defenses up, even as you enjoy your favorite brew. Story 8. This tale of terror happened in the heart of a bustling city in 2015, and it's a chilling reminder that danger can lurk in even the most seemingly safe and familiar places, like your local Starbucks. I was a barista at a Starbucks located in a vibrant downtown area, where the daily hustle and bustle of city life was the norm. One sunny morning, a regular customer named Emily came in for her usual vanilla latte. She was a friendly and vivacious young woman who always had a kind word for everyone. But little did we know that Emily was harboring a dark secret. She had been the target of a relentless stalker for months, a shadowy figure who seemed to know her every move. At first, Emily dismissed it as mere coincidence, but as the incidents escalated, she couldn't ignore the chilling reality any longer. One day, as Emily sat at her favorite corner table, sipping her latte and working on her laptop, she received a text message from an unknown number. It read, "I see you. You look beautiful today, just like always." Her heart raced as she scanned the cafe, trying to identify the stalker, but there was no one who seemed out of place. The messages kept coming, each one more sinister than the last. The stalker seemed to know intimate details of Emily's life, her daily routines, and even her conversations with friends. It was as if they were always one step ahead, lurking in the shadows. Emily reported the incidents to the police, who began an investigation, but the stalker remained elusive, leaving no digital trace of their identity. Emily's anxiety grew, and she started to withdraw from her daily activities, fearing that her stalker could be watching her at any moment. One evening, as Emily left the Starbucks, she had a chilling encounter. A masked figure stepped out of the shadows, blocking her path. They whispered menacingly, "You can't escape me." Terrified, Emily managed to break free and ran to the safety of her nearby apartment. The police redoubled their efforts, but the stalker continued to evade capture. Emily's life had become a living nightmare, and she was at her wit's end. But she refused to be a victim, and she began taking self-defense classes, determined to protect herself. One day, as Emily sat at the same Starbucks, her stalker sent her another message, taunting her with cryptic threats. But this time, Emily was ready. She had alerted the cafe staff and other regular customers about her situation, and they were on high alert. When the stalker made their move and approached Emily, the cafe erupted into action. Customers and employees rushed to her aid, creating a wall of protection around her. The stalker, realizing they were outnumbered and exposed, fled into the crowd and disappeared. The police arrived moments later, and with the help of witnesses and surveillance footage, they were able to identify and apprehend the stalker. It turned out to be someone Emily had known from her past, an old acquaintance who had become obsessed with her. With the stalker behind bars, Emily could finally breathe a sigh of relief. She had faced unimaginable fear and danger, but had shown incredible resilience and courage throughout her ordeal. The Starbucks community rallied around Emily, supporting her every step of the way. The cafe became a symbol of strength and solidarity, a place where Emily had found safety and protection in her darkest hours. This harrowing tale serves as a chilling reminder that danger can strike anywhere, even in the most ordinary of places. but it's also a testament to the power of community and the strength of the human spirit to overcome fear and adversity. So, the next time you walk into your local Starbucks, remember that it's more than just a place for coffee. It's a gathering of people, a sanctuary of support, and a reminder that even in the face of darkness, we can find light and hope. In the wake of Emily's terrifying ordeal, her story spread far and wide, serving as a cautionary tale for others. She became an advocate for personal safety and awareness, sharing her experience to help others protect themselves from the shadows that might lurk around them. The Starbucks where Emily had found safety transformed into a beacon of resilience. It was a place where customers looked out for one another, where baristas knew not only the coffee orders but also the stories of the people who walked through the door. Emily's story reminds us that we should never take our safety for granted, even in the most familiar of settings. It also underscores the importance of community and standing together in times of need. So, the next time you walk into your local Starbucks, remember the strength of the human spirit and the power of unity. And as a small gesture, maybe strike up a conversation with your barista or offer a friendly smile to a fellow customer. You never know whose day you might brighten or whose story you might change. If you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe to my channel for more. Thank you for watching.